Shalom. Yahweh Shem Yahushai Barakatah. Yahweh Shemar Atam Shem Yahushai. This is the ISUPK that started out at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, in 1969, under Commanding General Yohana. We're here to teach the truth of the Bible. The so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indians are the real Israelites according to the scriptures. And so what we're talking about today, of course, is Friday. This is the Lashawan Kodash, a.k.a. Holy Tongue, Ancient Hebrew class. We've been recently going over, we've started a new series where we've started to break down the prayers that we use during the high holy days and during the Sabbath services. And so I want to continue with that breakdown with the new breakdown of Psalm chapter 121, where we're going to actually break it down precept upon precept to give you the Lashawan Kodash visuals so that you have a good understanding of what these words mean, how these phrases come together, and of course, how to read them when you see them. We recently have finished our first prayer that we've gone over, Psalm chapter 83. And Psalm chapter 83 was probably the longest prayer out of all the ones that we typically do. And so that series is up on our channel. It's up on YouTube. I believe it's about 6 episodes long because we try to knock out at least 3, about 3, verses every class. And for this one, I want to try to do 4 verses and try to knock it out in 2 classes, but we'll see how it goes. Psalm chapter 121 is another prayer that we read every Sabbath service. We'll be reading it tomorrow during the Sabbath service. And so what better way to learn how to pronounce the words, learn how to write the words, than to see the breakdown in the ancient Hebrew class. So it's vital to do so, to learn these things. So we're going to be going over Psalm 121. All right. Give us one moment while we set everything up, and we'll continue with this here in a minute. So bear with me 1 second here. Just want to make sure to share the class for those of you that are tuning in. Big up to those of y'all logging into the stream. And right now I'm just kind of doing a technical test to make sure that we're able to hear everything before we continue. You understand? Let me go ahead and take a look at the live stream. And for this one, I want to try to do 4 verses and try to knock. All right, most high in Christ. Give us one moment here. I'm just gonna make sure to share the class on all platforms. That way we can get this truth pushed out there, and then we're gonna get started on this prayer here. Okay. So yeah, let's get that. Yes. That's what's up. One second, y'all. 1 second. Let's see. Yo, pardon, you might hear a little background noise. We're doing a little bit of sealing with foam on the roof fine right now to make sure our school stays nice and dry during the rainy season. Make sure there's no leaks. I see something going on up there, so hopefully they're covering their tracks to make sure our school's on point. So pardon the noise if you hear any noise in the background while we're doing the class today. All right. Almost got this ready. 1 second. One second, y'all. Let me just make sure the stream quality is still good. So without further ado, we're going to get started right now. Psalm chapter 121. And just like how during the Sabbath service, when we go into Psalms, when we go into any of our prayers that are in the Old Testament, that we're going to go to the interlinear Bible app so that we can see it in the Hebrew with the English translation right next to it. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to move it over to the Lashawan Kodash, the ancient Hebrew alphabet, So it's a different alphabet than what you see in the app, but it coincides with these characters you see on the other side, whereas you have the ancient Hebrew, then you have the modern Hebrew, or AKA Assyrian Hebrew. But as I like to do, I like to show it in the ancient Hebrew because that is our foundation and it is the original version that we know of. And so we're going to go with that, and we're going to actually break down the scripture completely in the Elashawan Kodash, as we always like to do. Now, Psalm chapter 121 starts off just like this. All right. Shayar. This is verse 1. La Ma'ilawam. La Ma'ilawath. La Ma'i Lawath. La Asha. That would be a good time to write down the Hebrew characters as you see them on the screen, because we're going to break down what these are saying. Okay. Bear with me 1 second. Let me just get a sip of water right quick. And what I really want to do is I want to make sure to give the audience time to write down what's on the board before we start cluttering it with all of our other marks for the translation to English, so that you get it in its purest form. But make sure that when you're writing this down on your notebook pads, that you're giving yourself a little extra space to write above and around the characters, all right? Breaking down the prayers is vital because naturally, as we go through the Bible and we start breaking down different sentences, you'll very quickly be able to expound on your ancient Hebrew vocabulary, because the characters that we go over each have an identification number, and that's what we're going to be mainly talking about today when we go over these precepts. So we have Shayar, La Ma'ilawath, Asha'ah, and then we have Asha'ah, Ayanya, Asha. I guess we'll just say Asha. Ayanya. Ayanya. Okay. Al Haharyam. Haharyam. Ma'ayan. I'm gonna go ahead and do another. Ma'ayan. I would have liked to put it all in one line, but that's all right. Yaba'ah. And then Isaiah. Zarya. It's beautiful. This is the beginning of Psalm chapter 121. Okay. I have to keep checking the stream just to make sure the quality has remained, because every time that I step in front of the camera, it could actually mess around with the quality of the stream. So let me just check to make sure. Thanks to Most High Christ. Hey, Shalom, big up to Captain Akkad Abariam tuning in. You know what I'm saying? Definitely like to share the class with Water, sir. I'm breaking down Psalm chapter 121. And this is, again, we're going to be using this prayer during the Feast of Unleavened Bread, during the Passover. And so get a good visual of how it looks. And when we break it down, you're going to understand the vocabulary words. You're going to know what word lines up with what. Because when we say it in the English, it's cool and all, but when we read it in the Hebrew, we want to know what the words are as we're saying it, right? Boom. So let's read it, and then we're going to break it down, all right? So it starts off like this. Shayar la ma'ailawath asha ayanya al-haharyo ma'ayan yaba'a Isaiah. That right there is verse 1. Psalm chapter 121, verse 1. I think it's about 8 verses in Psalm 121. And it looked like we're going to take up a lot of the screen today, and I don't want to have to erase it and move forward. So today we're going to try to put as many verses as we can on the screen, and then we're going to go ahead and save that for the next class. We'll recap it at the beginning of the next class, and then we'll continue, all right, until we get the scripture, basically the whole prayer taken care of. Now, let's start breaking it down. So every phrase that you see in Hebrew has a root phrase within it. Sometimes it's the entirety of the phrase. Sometimes it's a part of the phrase. The reason why that's important is because since Hebrew is a modular language, you're constantly adding possessive adjectives, prepositions to these chunks. And so you might notice that there's a root word that's within a phrase, but that's why we're breaking it down so you can see what is what and what the root words are. That way you can understand how these sentences get put together. So going back to it, H7892 is going to be your word for song. Boom. Translated to English, it's going to say a song, but the actual root word is the entirety of that phrase right there. Song is shayar. So for those brothers that do music in the school, that make songs, that, you know what I'm saying, because the ISBK, we are a self-sustained culture. We are an awakening that has the culture in its entirety, including the music. Our music, shayar, meaning song. You understand? Brother drops a new single, you say, yo, that new shayar, that goes hard, bro. That shayar means song. Add that to your Hebrew vocabulary. Write it down. Mark book it. Write it down. Screenshot it. That's something that we do every day. If you at work, listening to your headphones, zoning in your zone, unless you know how to talk to a bunch of people all the time, you're listening to music. You're listening to your songs. Your shayaryum. Shayaryum would be the plural version of songs. Okay, shayar is the singular version of song. You understand? The next phrase right here is of ascents. So this is a song of ascension, is what it says. The song of ascension. And so that's what we're going to look at right here. This word right here, la ma'ailawath. La ma'ailawath. Let's see what the root word is in this phrase. It's using the definition, the Strong's definition, H4609. H4609. And that phrase is ma'ila. Ma'ila. The part of this phrase, now there is, ma'ila does have a ha at the end, but because it's modified right here, ma'ila, is this portion of the phrase is the root word. And that root word means ascent, elevation. Now, the actual word of right here, or to, is la. When we say La Yasha'Allah, when we're reading the Torah or reading the scrolls, we say La Yasha'Allah, and then we drink the wine, right? And so the character La is added to the beginning of this because the character La is a preposition that means either with, to, or of. You understand? So I'm going to say of ascension or to ascension. It's the same thing. A song of ascension, a song to ascension. La is at the beginning of it. Wath, as we know, Wath, it basically is saying that it's making it present tense. Song of ascension. So again, La Ma'ilawath. La Ma'ilawath. Now, when we read the prayer, we actually start right here. This is just a preface to the prayer, because though it is a prayer, we are in the book of Psalms, and the book of Psalms is technically a book of lyrics. It's a lyric book. Every rapper got a lyric book. Any rapper worth his salt has 100 bars on standby at all times. At least 100 bars on standby that they have memorized in their head. And whenever you make music, if you ever hear a beat, you already have material that you've written to write on that. Well, guess what? King David had entire, basically entire encyclopedias of lyrics, and that's what the book of Psalm is a credence to, is a credence to his lyrical prowess. Let me try changing the light so we don't have a glare on the screen. Oh, give me 1 second. That might be a little bit better. Let me check it out. Oh yeah, there go my boy Fred. What up, Fred? Shalom, Lord Christ, Fred. Yeah, we breaking down Psalm chapter 121. Most High in Christ. It's always good for you to tune in. Just know that the class is, we do have our classes at 7 p.m. throughout the weekdays. You're more than welcome to stop by. If you want to be here in person for the classes, you're always welcome. You understand? Let's continue. So, Asha. That's the first phrase right here at the beginning of the song. Asha. This is H5375. And anytime you see any of these numbers, that means vocabulary word. There's a vocabulary word for song, shayar. The vocabulary word for ascent is ma'ila. Ma'ila. H5375, the root word here is nasha. Nasha. There's a na that's not there. Nasha. So technically, this part of the phrase is what's used from the root word. It says to lift. To lift. Translation for this phrase right here, I will lift up. No sweat. No sweat, brother. Yeah, I got your message. No sweat. Again, whenever we do the prayers, these are prayers that you can recite every single day. These prayers are not just there as some sort of just like a formality. It really is an actual prayer to the Most High. And when we read them, we actually mean the things that we say. Every time we read these prayers, we are, especially in the ancient Hebrew, where it has a stronger power behind every phrase that we say, that we're asking the Most High to really lift up and take care of us. You understand? These prayers is these prayers have more force behind them than what you get in the Christian church. And I say that not out of pride, but out of understanding and out of humility, because I know what prayer in the hands of an ancient Hebrew Israelite can do to heal a nation, to heal people. Of course, that does not come without much study and appreciation of what the scriptures are saying, because there's an entire mindset that comes behind that healing. But the prayers themselves are an introduction to the mindset of the ancient Hebrew Israelite. You understand? And so when it says, I will lift, so this is a song of ascension. This is a song that you want to read when you are trying to come up out of that hell and darkness that is going on in your life. The Song of Ascension, chapter 121, is understanding the world around us and then also not allowing the world around us to keep us held down. That's why this song is so heavy. That's why this prayer is so vital. And that's why we read it every single week during the Sabbath service. And so being able to break this down in the Lashon Kodash is an honor of mine that we can keep it on record for the history of our school here as we open up our new school just a couple weeks ago, that we can have this on our record as a part of our curriculum. You understand? So it begins, Asha, Ayanya, H5869. H5869. Ayanya. The definition of that is I. Ayanya. Now, ayan, I believe ayan, yep, it is. Ayan is the root word. Ayan is H5869. That means I. Ayan. Now, again, I like to break it down. So when we put a possessive adjective at the end, you'll notice that ya right here means my. Ayan ya would then mean I will lift my eye. Ayan ya. I will lift my eye. First part of you ascending is to keep your head up. Keep your head up strong is what this song is saying. That's how the song is. That's a real bar right there. Keep your head up. I will lift up my eyes. I mean, I'm not gonna give up. I'm gonna make sure that I keep moving forward. I keep looking forward. You understand? That's what this prayer is starting off with. First and foremost, is saying I'm gonna keep my head up. I will lift up my eye, and then I believe it means toward. Let me see. Two. Yeah, there we go. Two. This is H413. Okay. Yeah, two or toward. I will lift my eye to Ha Haryam. Ha Haryam. I will lift up my eye to Har. See this right here? Har. This is H2022. And it means hill. And so what we're saying right here, again, we use these modifiers. I'm going to try to clean this up. I'm going to rewrite this a little bit more neat in the future. So forgive me for being a little out of hand. But ha, when you put at the beginning as a preposition, I don't know why it's not on the screen. I'll write it right here for now. Ha means the. So when you add it to this phrase here, because this is a root word, but we're adding modifiers to it. The hills. The hills. Yam means plural. Yam means plural. So when I say hill, it's har. If I say har yam, that means multiple hills. Okay. So we're saying I will lift my eye to the hills. You'll see that? The root word har means hill. Har means hill. Now it's ha yam, meaning ha, which means the, har, which means hills. Har yam means, har means hill. Har yam means hills in a plural sense. So the Song of Ascension, I will lift my eye to the hills. Okay. I will lift up my eye to the hills. We'll read that in Hebrew again, and we're going to continue breaking it down because you want to try to get a hearing of it every now and then. So it starts off by saying, Shayar lama ailawath. Hasha, Asha, Ayanya, Al Haharyam, Ma'ayan, Yaba'a, Isaiah. All right. It's probably the oldest language on the planet that you're seeing on your screen right now. So it's important to know that it's very primitive. It's not supposed to be too complicated. We only make it complicated because it's just different from what we're used to. Okay. But I'm telling you right now, this language, it's more natural to our spirit because it gets straight to the point. It doesn't beat around the bush. It doesn't have all these nice, nasty flares or any kind of vowels or anything like that. It's just straight consonants. It's just heavy phrases, all to the point of making sure you get the point across as quickly as possible. That's what ancient Hebrew really is all about. The next part, ma'ayan. Ma'ayan. This is H370. The root word here is ayan. Ma'ayan. All right. Which means where. From where. So the ma used at the beginning of the phrase means from. And this is a preposition. I kind of have this line drawn to separate the prepositions from the possessive adjectives. Again, prepositions are at the pre or at the front of the character. Since Hebrews read from right to left, the prepositions will be on the right side of the phrase that is the root word. Whereas possessive adjectives, you'll see just like how we have yam right here or we have ya right here, it's at the end of the phrase. So possessive adjectives are on the left side, prepositions on the right side. And so here we have ma'ayan. Now, again, I'm not making this up. I'm literally going into the Old Testament, looking at the Hebrew, and I'm breaking it down in the ancient Hebrew, translating the characters over to the ancient language. And then now you're seeing that on the screen as I'm breaking them down word for word. So our Lashon Kodash class, I know this is a little bit more of an advanced topic, and we could always go back over the alphabet in our next class. So definitely come to class whenever you get the chance, and we can start getting the basic understanding of the actual characters in the Hebrew, which is, of course, going to be a crucial part of any brother that's looking to come into the school and eventually become a teacher, because knowing both of these alphabets is something that is a prerequisite to becoming an officer in the school. So knowing the Lashon Kodash, don't be intimidated by it, because again, this is your own language. This is you taking back your heritage and your culture, and so it's quite natural that you're going to want to get more of this language. So we said a song of ascension. I will lift my eye to the hills from where, and now we have Yaba'ah, Yaba'ah, Yaba'ah. This is H935, and it means to come. And that's exactly what it says right here. From which comes my help. From which comes my help. I will lift up my eyes to the hills from where comes, and then Isaiah. Isaiah. Isaiah means, let me break it down first. H5828. The definition of that is help. This is the root word. Okay. Isaiah. Isaiah, here it is. Check it out. Possessive adjective. If I add a ya at the end of any root word, it's saying my. So it's not just the word help. It's my help. And that's why, like, if we had Isaiah by itself, it would just be help. Isaiah means my help. That's verse 1. That right there is verse 1. Let's read that in the Lashon Kodash, and then we're going to read it again in English, and then we'll move on to verse 2. Verse 2 is going to be next. Shayar la ma'ailawath, Asha, Ayanya, Al-Haharyam, Ma'ayan, Yaba'a, Izariah. You understand? I'm going to read that again. Shayar, Lama Ilawath, Asha, Ayanya, Al-Haharyam, Ma'ayan, Yaba'a, Izariah. And what we said in English, a song of ascent. I will lift my eye to the hills. From where comes my help? Now we're going to, verse 2, we're going to break down what that help is coming from. Because he's lifting his eye to the hills like he's looking beyond the horizon. He's keeping his head up. He's praying. And we're going to see who he's praying to in verse 2. We obviously know who that is. It's going to be the Most High, right? So we're going to go to verse 2. And let's break that down. Izariah. Now, notice that the end of the previous verse is Izariah. The beginning of the next verse is also Izariah. It's the exact same thing. Izariah. Now would be a good time to mention the reason why you see these little connectors and little frowny faces and stuff is because if it has a frowny face or a little droop, then it means that character is pronounced by itself. If it has a connector, notice that it's two characters that are connected together. So I'm going to start with this pronunciation. I'm going to end with this pronunciation. So instead of it being Izariah, it's Izariah. Another example of that is right here where it says Ayanya. It's not Ayanaya, it's Ayanya. And the reason why it's like that is because the root word itself typically has a connection at the end. Not all characters do that. But most of the root words do. Okay, and so you kind of figure out which ones do as you go along, which ones don't. Most of them do. So when you have that understanding, it's a little bit easier to know where to break down the phrases and stuff, and then know what to pronounce at the end, because then you start to realize what are modifiers on the word. So you have Izar, which means help. Izariah means my help. The next verse, verse 2, starts off like this: Izariah. It says my help. We're going to break that down in a minute. My help from Ma'im. Yahweh. It actually says Yahweh. That's awesome. Okay. Yahweh. Boom. Yahweh. There it is. Who made heaven and earth. Aisha. Shamayam. Let me make sure I got room. Shama or Shamayam. Wa Arataza. Wa Arataza. This is a character that doesn't have the last two connected. Arataza. We'll break that down here in a minute. And that's the end of verse 2. So verse 2 is actually pretty short. I was able to kind of fit it in on that second line anyway. So Most High in Christ for that. So I want to have more room to write verse 3, and maybe we'll see if we can get to verse 4 today. All right. We're getting a whole big chunk of what's on the board. Now I'm gonna leave this for a second because I want to give you room to write this down. Write it down exactly as it looks. And if you have any questions about what it is, this is how it lines up. So you can always refer to this side of the screen right here if you need help pronouncing these characters. You just kind of have to go ba ga da ha wa za khataya kala mana sa ipa taza kwa ra sha ta. That's it. That's the whole alphabet for the ancient Hebrew. And so those are all the characters that you're seeing here. So it's never going to be more than that when we do the ancient Hebrew. All right. Just try to keep it as simple like that. So I'm going to leave that on the screen, give you a little bit of time to write this down. Then we're going to go and break it down, all right? Give me 1 second. I need my chair here a minute. Go ahead and take the time to write down what's on the screen. If you already have it, make sure to share the class, give it a like. Go ahead and help the algorithms push this truth out for the four corners of the earth. All right, let's go ahead and break that down now. So verse 2 starts off the same way that verse 1 comes to an end, where you have Isaiah. So you're saying Isaiah twice, but that's the end of verse 1. Then verse 2 starts off with Isaiah. It's the same thing. H5828, which again means help, and it's saying my help. And of course, in parentheses, that's the root word. So Izar means help. Okay. Ma'im, that's the next vocabulary word. H5973. Okay. My help. From. The root word ma'im is I'm. So when you put a ma in front of it, I believe it means, let me see, it says those. Yeah, from, which is crazy because when you put a ma, it actually means from. It's almost like saying from, because the root word actually means together or with. Or with. And so what it's saying is from, but the word I'm means together or with, meaning from, together, or with, and then the Most High's name is used. My help is from Yahweh. And that is God's name in the ancient Hebrew. So that's as accurate as we possibly know of to get close to the Most High's real name. 5973. Oh, my bad. That's not it. It's 3068. My bad. The Most High's name. YHWH. Yahweh. Which means Lord or God. Also means He is, or He exists. When he was speaking with Moses, that's where He described His name, meaning He is Yahweh. And I did a whole breakdown on that of what the Most High's name visually means, and I'll just explain it real quick, only because I don't want to take up the whole screen. Yah in the Lashon Kodash is a character that represents an arm. Ha means to reveal. Every character in Hebrew visually represents something. Wa means is a fastener, like a hook or like a nail. Okay. And ha again means to reveal. The Most High's name visually means the arm of creation, because He's revealing and joining that revealing to another revealing, meaning the hidden secrets, the hidden understanding of creation was created by him. And that's one of the reasons why Ha is actually mentioned twice. Now again, I'm not gonna go into the full semantics of it, but visually using these characters here, it actually is like saying the arm of creation is what his name means, which is incredible. Because you won't ever understand that if you see it in any other language other than this version of Hebrew. The Most High's name visually means the arm of creation. All right, let's see. That's just from looking at the characters, you can easily tell that that's what it actually is meaning. Okay. Then we have Aisha. Aisha. The root word here is Aisha, so it's the whole thing. My help from Yahweh. I don't want to bombard this with a whole bunch of info on the screen, so I'm just going to try to clean some of this up so it doesn't, clutter all this. My help from Yahweh, Aisha, which means to do or to make, and that's the definition that we're going with right here. So this is H6213, which means to make. Now the definition here, it says who made. So this is the same thing. Who made. My help from Yahweh, who made, and then you have Shamayim, or Shemayim, as we pronounce it sometimes, H8064, which means heaven. Heaven. But that word Shamayim technically means heavens because it has the yam at the end. So technically, you have the whole phrase here, the heavens. And to be more grammatically correct, there could be a ha in front of it. So we could say ha shamayim or ha shamayim, and that's where the heavens could come in. So technically, if I want to be exact with what it says, it just says heavens. My help from Yahweh who made heavens. Shamayim or shamayim. Shama would mean heaven. Shamayim would mean heavens. Because again, when you use yam at the end of a phrase, it makes it plural. So the Most High made heavens, and that's part of the reason why his name has two revealings, because there are levels to his creation that go beyond what we see and the things that are even further hidden, that he has the control under all those things because he's the arm of creation. So he's the arm of the creation of the heavens. You understand? The world that you live in, the laws of physics that you're forced to follow. You understand? He has control over all those things. He has control over things that you don't understand. And that's the thing you have to understand about the Most High. And when we're praying to the Lord, we're lifting our eyes from the hills where cometh our help coming from the Most High who made all of what we see, the hills that we see. You understand? The earth that we see. And that's what this word is right here. Ha'aratazah. Finishing off this verse. H776 means earth. It also means ground. Sometimes it's used to describe the ground. So that's the same thing. And this says, and earth. So the heavens that it's talking about right here isn't even including the earth, because this is everything beyond the earth. And then we are actually mentioning the earth. And that root word is aratazah. Aratazah. Wa aratazah means and earth. And earth. So the root word is aratazah. And here it is right here, just to help you out. Aratazah. Aratazah. That's the word for earth. But we're saying wa aratazah, meaning joining, because remember, wa, it means a fastener, it means a hook. This is like something you would put in the ground. Like think about like if you were to make a tent, or if you were Native American, you might have a teepee, and you would take some kind of sharp, something that'll penetrate the ground, and we'll have something on top to prevent the stick from moving too much to keep it fastened to the earth, right? So when you use that, like when you pitch a tent and you put the stakes, they call them stakes or nails or something like that, or fasteners into the earth to keep it still, right? It joins the tent to the ground so that it doesn't move, so that it doesn't budge, it don't fly away when the wind blows, right? And so we're joining this word earth with the other thing that the Most High created. And that's why he's saying Yahweh, who made heavens and the earth. So that's why you put the wa in front. Because again, wa means and. Sometimes it also means nor. But that's just, like I said, it's like adding this to something that was already mentioned. All right. So what we got so far? We got Psalm chapter 121. Shayar la ma'ailawa. And then the story in the song begins. Asha ayanya al-haharyam ma'ayan yaba'a Isaiah, Ma'am, Yahweh, Aisha, Shamayam, Wa Arataza. And that's exactly how you hear it during the Sabbath service. But now you can actually see what it looks like in the Hebrew. You understand? Bear with me 1 second. Let me just make sure to check the chat, make sure everything's for a while. All right. There we go. You got a little time to write down on the screen. What? Damn. Damn. All right. Al-Yathan. That's how the next verse starts. Let me go ahead and get that on the screen here. I might have to sit down a little bit so I can get the writing on point. Verse 1, verse 2, and we got verse 3. And this goes Al-Yathan. So I'm gonna give it a little space right here. Al-Yathan. Al-Yathan. Lamawat. Lamawat. Regalka. I don't know if I'm drawing this too small. That should be all right. Try a little. Try it again. Regalka. So we got Al-Yathan, Lamawat, Regalka, Al-Yanawam, 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 Shamarka. Shamarka. Now I'm going to read it and then we'll break it down. Verse 3. Al-Yathan, Lamawat, Regalka, Al-Yanawam, Shamarka. That's verse 3. Reading up until this point, then we're going to break down verse 3. Again. Shayar la ma'ailawath, Asha, Ayanya, Al-Haharyam, Ma'ayan, Yaba'a, Izaria, Ma'an, Yahweh, Asha, Shamayam, Wa'arataza, Al Yathan, Lamawat, Ragalka, Al Yanawam, Shamarka. Let's see what we wrote down. It's kind of trailing off, but I kind of wanted to give more space over here. You know, I might rewrite some of this. Let me that way I can kind of write it more a little bit more leveled out. Al Yatan Lamawat. Okay. All right. Lamawat. Al Yatan Lamawat. All right. Let's go ahead and break that down. Verse 3 starts off with Hebrew Strong's character identification number H408. Al, which means not. Not. And it's the whole phrase. So al. Nathan. Now notice that it says Nathan instead of Yathan. Where's it at? Okay. That's just what it is. Fine. H5414, which means to give, to put. We'll say put. To give or put. Shall not, and what is he saying? Allow. So the root word here is Nathan, but for this, it's translated to Yathan. There are exceptions to the root words, but we'll just keep it like that. So he's saying not allow. It says he will allow, but because you have al in front of it, it's actually together saying he will not allow. It's saying not he will allow. Literally is what it is. So it's saying al yathan, which means not he will allow. And when we think about it in English, we would say he will not allow. And so when we read the prayer in English, it actually starts verse 3 by saying he will not allow thy foot to be moved. Okay? He will not allow thy foot to be moved is how it starts. But it's saying it says he will allow not, which is the same thing. It's just Yoda talk. You know, it's a little backwards. It's fine. It's a little different. You know, Hebrew is think of English as like almost backwards in sentence structure from Hebrew. And then that'll kind of help you out because there's a lot going on in the Hebrew language, but we only make it more complicated because we're so used to English and Spanish and whatever slave languages that were forced upon us, right? Got a little bit of deconstruction to go through before we get the full understanding, right? H4132 for this next one, lamawat. Lamawat. The root word is mawat. And so we know la means to or some form like that. And so it's saying to be moved. The root word is slip or fall. Boom. That's crazy. He will not allow to be moved or to slip or be moved. or fall. Okay. And then we have a body part here mentioned, verse 3, where it says foot. So ragal ka, H7272, H7272 is anatomy 101. Ragal, boom, it's right here. But it's not just any foot, it's your foot. And that's why the possessive adjective ka is added to the end, meaning you. There's the ka right here. You or your. Notice that ka looks like a capital K that's turned around. That's not a coincidence, bro. That's actual Hebrew. Ka, it just looks like a K that's turned around. You know what I'm talking about? Ra kind of looks like an R. Or you look at like the capital letter R. It's like R that's turned around. Hebrew is the OG language, yo. You have to keep in mind that. So some of these characters will look very familiar. I is not O, that's actually I, because it represents your eye, like your circle of your eye. Where's the I? Za, we know Za, that's Z, right? Some of these characters are familiar, but the ones that are not, like you notice M and N, they got the squigglies. M has more squigglies than N, just like in English, ma and na, or M and N. Ragal means foot, but ragal ka means your foot. So what are we saying? The Most High who created the heavens and the earth, he's saying he will not allow your foot to slip. He will not allow your foot to be moved. So he's saying, Al Yatan, Lamawat, Ragalka. Al Yatan, Lamawat, Ragalka, meaning he will not allow you to slip. He will not allow your foot to be moved. Okay, same thing. He will not let you fall. The Most High is not going to let you fall when you really lean on his program, when you really reach out back to take back your culture, to be righteous, to live according to the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. He's not going to let you fall. But a lot of times when we're out doing our own thing, doing things on our own terms, living life how we want to live, we do be slipping. That's the truth. That's just the way it flows, right? Because you want to do things your way. That's how it plays out. But it don't got to be like that. And it starts with something as simple as realizing that. And the bars that are put in Psalms is heavy because it's constantly bombarding you with understanding why you're going through what you're going through, but also looking at the positive aspect of knowing that there is a better outcome that's in store if you lean on the Most High. That's why this prayer is so heavy, because we pray to the Most High to not let us fall, to not let our foot slip, to not allow us to fall into darkness, to live a life of wickedness and to end up in pain and suffering. We can avoid all that, right? This is what the prayer is actually saying. So now it's continuing. It says al again, which means not. Again, same thing, H408. It's the same word. It ain't changing, which means, again, not. So he's saying not. Again, Hebrew is a little backwards from English. So whatever he's about to say right here is joined with this right here, okay? So now he's saying yana yum, or yana wum. Yeah, yana wum. H5123. Saying to slumber or to sleep. Or will slumber. To sleep. The root word H5123 is nawam. Nawam. So the ya at the beginning of it, actually I don't have it here. It says will slumber. Ya at the preposition will, which means future tense. So the ya that's put before the word slumber is speaking in a future tense form. So he's saying will slumber. So the ya goes with will. Now wam means slumber. Okay. Let's put that together, what we got so far, and then we'll do this last word. So it says al yatan lamawat regalka al yanawam, which means He will not allow your foot to slip. And then it says, oh, I guess I got to do this one. Hold on. Let me see. He who keeps you. This is H8104. Okay. H8104. Shamar. Okay, we know that word. That word shamar means to keep, to guard. We'll say to guard, to watch. We'll call that one of our main, that'll be the word of the day, shamar. For those of you that don't know what that word means, it's pronounced shamar. This is a term that we use all the time in the school. It means to watch. When we have an entire department at the Passover that's called the Shamar department, it's our security department. To watch, to keep, to guard. Shamar. Y'all understand? This is, again, Strong's identification number H104, Shamar. To hedge, to guard, to protect, to attend to give heed, to observe, to protect, to keep. That's why they say, am I my brother's keeper? That's something that I think it was Cain that said that. Am I my brother's keeper? I mean, Cain was admitting, am I the one in charge of protecting my brother? Well, obviously not. You're the one that killed him. But Shamar, in its sense, is an honorable word because it means to watch over, to protect, to guard, and to keep. So it's saying ma shamar. Let me see. Oh, my bad. I'm tripping. I have this outlined wrong. It's right here. Shamarka. Let's see if anybody in the comment section caught that before I did. I'll bet you they didn't. Let me see. Y'all getting a real understanding of Psalm chapter 121, right? I hope y'all are following along with me. Shamar ka, meaning ka is a possessive adjective, meaning your protector, your protector. Your keeper, your guard, your watchman. He who keeps you. This is literally, like, this actually translates to he who keeps you. He who keeps you. This is how it's translated when we read it in the prayer. But it's saying your protector will not slumber. That's what it's saying. Your guardsman will not cease to protect you, is what it's saying. That's the Most High. That's what, again, all of this is talking about Yahweh. All of this is talking about the Lord. Okay. Now, we have 3 verses. I want to, here's what I'll do. I'll write verse 4. What time is it? Yeah, you know what? We'll see if we can do verse 4. Let's go. Let's read what we got so far. We got Shayar, Lama Ilawa, Asha, Ayanya, Al-Haharyam, Ma'ayan, Yaba'a, Izaria, Ma'an, Yahweh, Aisha, Shamayam, Wa'arataza, Al-Yathan, Lamawat, Regalka, Al-Yanawam, Shamarka. Shamarka, your protector, your watchman. Your watchman will not slumber. That's what that's saying. He who keeps you will not slumber. Okay? That's heavy. Verse 4. Last verse for the day. Let's get it. I know it's a lot on the screen, but that's why I like to do it piece by piece. And that's why If you have any, if it looks like it's too much, go back, watch it through and through, and you'll get every bit of what we're saying. But all of this information is here to give you all the vocabulary, all of the understanding of every single phrase, and give you the breakdown of why it's pronounced the way that it is, why it has the extra characters on the left and right sides of the root words. This is all to give you the thorough understanding of how we put our language together, yo. Okay, that's all it's for the betterment of Israel. That's what it's for. Hana, let me see. Hana. This might be a longer verse. No, this ain't that long. Hana la'ah. We know la'ah. La'ah. Yana yum. Oh, yana wum. This is actually the same as right here. So it says ya na wum. I'm trying not to block the screen, y'all. Slack it. Yana wum. Wala'ah. That's heavy. Wala'ah. Because if you know la'ah, you'll know what wala'ah means, because it's basically just saying and also, or and not. Ya yashan. I gotta get in there. Hold on. Ya shan. Shawamar or shamar or whatever. Shawamar. Technically, this could say washamar, but I guess shawamar is how it's going to be written. That's how we deal with it. All right. Okay. Yashar Allah. Yashar Allah. Man, I'm like going this way with it. It's crazy how crooked my writing is. Let me see if I can redo that. Let's see. Yeah, sure. Shower more. This is way better. And then Yashar Allah. Boom. There's really no easy way to do it. You just got to get in there and write it. If I had this all on the screen when I first started the class, it'd just be too much at once. So that's why I designed these classes to be the way they are, so that we can get it precept upon precept to really give you a better footing on everything as we go. So, bear with me while I'm doing the writing and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, this is the perfect time for you to practice writing it down as well. So follow along. So now we got H 2009. Okay, this is behold. Hana. H 2009 means behold. And the root word is, of course, hana. So it's the whole thing right here. Behold. It says la'ah, neither or no. So la'ah is H3808, which means no, or it means not. So it says neither. La'ah. Yanawam. Nawam is the root word. And this is again just like how we have it right here. Will slumber. Again, that's H5123, which means to sleep. And then that Yah means will. Okay. So what is he saying? He says, behold, neither will slumber. Okay. Wala'ah, which means and not, or it says nor and no, because it's still the root word la'ah. We know la'ah means no, but we're saying wala'ah, meaning also no. So he's saying, behold, neither will slumber or also not. And then Yayashan, I believe, means to sleep. So, and when we break this down, it's H3808. That word means no, also, right? Of course, no or not or nor. And so that's what you're seeing right here. Yayashan, H3462. Let's switch sides here. H3462. Yayashan means to sleep. Sleep. Yashan is the root word. Yayashan. If you have it as a preposition, the ya at the beginning. Well, hell, I don't know. Yayashan means sleep. I don't even know why that ya is there, to be honest. But Yashan means to sleep. So it says Hana la'a ya yashan. It's like a ya nawam wala'a ya yashan. Shawamar. This is again shamar, but it's in a different form. So H104. Where's shamar at over here? H104. It's the same one. This is the same thing. But because you have, like I said, if you had the wa at the beginning, it says washamar, it technically is the exact same thing instead of shawamar. So washamar, which means and keep. Washamar in this translation, when you're going from the interlinear, from the Hebrew to the English, it's saying it in a sense where it's saying, and he who keeps. And he who keeps. To watch or protect. And he who keeps. And when we broke this down over here, or we broke it down over here, the word shamar, shawamar, or washamar, or however you want to say it, shamar ka, your protector, your watchman, your guardsman, your observer, he who keeps. That's what a keeper is. That's why I would say a keeper of sheep, somebody that herds sheep, they keep the sheep, meaning they watch the sheep, they protect the sheep. A beekeeper, right? A beekeeper is somebody who watches over the beehive, who makes sure the beehive has what it needs and extracts the honey from the beehive so that the bees can keep flowing and keep bringing whatever they got to bring to make more honey, right? So a keeper of sheep will protect the sheep and then have the sheep there for whatever reason they need them for the resources like the wool, or hell, even to the point where they protected them long enough, they got to go and take them to the slaughterhouse to prepare them for the Passover and whatnot, right? So they're the keeper up until they're not, right? And so he who keeps us, he who protects us, and then it's telling who he's protecting, Yashar Allah. So the God that created heavens and the earth and all these different things, all up until the end of verse 4, is telling you who he's protecting. It tells you who he created it all for. Is Yashar Allah, which means Prince of Power, Israel. This is H3478. Israel. We won't break it down completely all day, but Yashar Allah. Guess what, Black, Hispanic, and Native American man? The Most High is your guardsman. He's your protector. He's also your judge. So the protection don't come without prerequisites. It don't come without you have to pay for that protection through your obedience. This is Psalm chapter 121, verses 1 through 4. We've done a ton of work today. We've jam-packed it within an hour. That's why these classes are designed the way they are, because they're not designed to overload you, though they seem like a lot, but you go and watch it through and through, you see how it all comes together. So this is the first half of Psalm chapter 121. I'll try to do the next half a couple weeks from now. We got a Passover week coming up this upcoming week. So be on the lookout for part 2 for this at some point in the near future. So again, Psalm chapter 121, let's read it in Hebrew, and then we're going to read it in English, then we'll close out for the day. All right. It's Shayar Lama Ilawath, Asha, Ayanya, Ahaharyam, Ma'ayan, Yaba'a, Isaiah, Ma'an, Yahweh, Asha, Shamayam, Wa'arataza, Al Yathan, Lamawat, Ragalka, Al Yanawam, Shamarka, Hana, La'a, Yanawam, Wala'a, Yayashan, Shawamar, Yasher Allah. What we said in the English was a song of ascent. I will lift my eye to the hills. From where comes my help? My help from Yahweh, who made heavens and earth. He will not allow your foot to slip. Your protector will not slumber. Behold, neither will slumber nor sleep he who keeps Israel. Neither will slumber nor sleep he who keeps Israel. This is like backwards sentence structure. It's almost like it's almost like you got to read it left to right, but that's not how it's read in Hebrew. It's like he who keeps Israel will not slumber nor sleep. That's how it translates to English. But Hebrew is read like that. So again, let's read it one more time in the ancient Hebrew, and just know that this is a protection prayer that King David had written as a song of ascension, a song to keep your head up. And that's why it starts off like that, where it says, I will lift my eye to the hills. Meaning keep your head up, because the Most High, who is your Shamarka, your protector, your guardsman, your watchman, the Lord who created the heavens and the earth, he not sitting by. But the problems going on in your life directly are influenced by your level of obedience to his laws, statutes, and commandments. So all the drama you going through, everything that you starting to deal with, the Most High has curses on us as a people because of our obedience over time. But just know that these things can slowly be corrected in any one given individual's life, because it starts with our obedience, and it starts with recognizing that. And that's why these prayers are the way they are, to recognize those things, to seek protection from the Most High, because there's a side to it that there's an end of the bargain that we have to uphold. One more time. Shayar La Ma'ilawath, Asha, Ayanya, Al Haharyam, Ma'ayan, Yaba'a, Isaiah, Ma'an, Yahweh, Asha, Shamayam, Wa'arataza, Al Yathan, Lamawat, Ragalka, Al Yanawam, Shamarka, Hana, La'a, Yanawam, Wala'a, Yayashan, Shawamar, Yasha Allah. That's the first half of the prayer of Psalm chapter 121, verses 1 through 4. We're going to be covering verses 4 through 8 within the upcoming weeks, so be on the lookout for that. Tune in to ISUPK San Antonio on YouTube, Facebook. Check us out on Instagram, ISUPK_SATX on both Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And with that, Yahweh Shem Yahushua Barakatham to all the brothers. Yahweh Shema Atham Shem Yahushua to all the sisters. And this is the ISUPK that started out at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York in 1969 under Commander General Yohana. Shalom.